wanted to utilize implementation science to test whether the recommendations that women and girls made in phase 1 to make aid distribution safer would be feasible and possible to implement in humanitarian aid settings.
The refugee women and girls involved in the first phase of the research decided to stay involved in the second phase as advisory groups. So we shared the tools that we were adapting with them. We received their feedback as people who would be answering these types of questions, what they thought was useful or understandable, what they thought could be improved. And we've also been sharing the results with them and getting their feedback on that as well. We were engaged with our NGO partners in training around the adapted distribution tools that we had co-designed together. We were working on co-facilitation of those trainings, so supporting other staff to be ready to train on SEA risk and on the tools themselves.
Before staff were involved, the first phase of their involvement was to be trained on gender and SEA concept, because this was the area that the project actually aimed to address. So we train all the GFA, that is General Food Assistance staff, who are involved in food distribution in the area that I've talked about.
We trained them on the different tools that we were using to monitor the perception of SEA. So that's the PODQ and the safety audit. And these tools had two components to them, the theoretical component and the practical component.
The elements that would make a good training for distribution really are about, it's all about the practice, ensuring that the enumerators, the people who are going to be part of the research team, practice how to use the tools. They practice how to ask those sensitive questions, especially when you're handling a topic like a GBV or sexual exploitation and abuse. Some people may shy away from asking questions concerning that. So it's really important that people know how to ask such sensitive questions in a way that is safe even for the respondent to be able to give you a response and not feel judged or anything. So practice is really important. Of course, the more people practice, the more comfortable they get with the tools and the topic of conversation. It's also important to include the enumerators, the translators in the trainings, because their work goes beyond the translations. It's important for them to agree on what the key terms are for the training and be able to, maybe if possible, create a dictionary so that every translator has a uniform way of understanding things.
Another important thing that would make a good training is a division of roles for each staff member. So it's important that each staff member knows his or her role in the distribution, in the data collection process. Another thing that needs to be done is to identify the PSEA focal point, because ensuring that we have a proper referral and complaints mechanism is not enough. We also need to ensure that it is being done on the spot by a person that's identified to do so.
After we reflected on the training process with our partners, the feedback that we got was, the training on these tools is critical, and, making sure that everyone has a solid understanding of, shared definitions around what is sexual exploitation and abuse, and, in addition to that, how to be sensitive during an interview and sort of interviewing skills and referral skills, trauma-informed interviewing skills. These are the types of things that people raised and wanted to practice during the training. So practice was probably the biggest piece of feedback we got, being able to practice the tools until it felt comfortable, and then being able to know what to do in different scenarios. So how to make a referral, how to respond in a sensitive way should an issue arise during an interview.